Gentlemen, welcome back to the live stream. I appreciate all of you. Thank you for your support. Thank you those that reach out to me, trying to give me remedies for this cough. Non-stop, guys. Like not non-stop, but whenever I film these videos, I cough and then I kind of mess up the video, sneeze and everything. I really appreciate the concern, guys. I'm pretty sure some of you are tired of hearing me coughing up a storm on these videos. Some have suggested change the cabin air filter. There's bacteria in there. You're not wrong. You're probably not wrong. Anyhow, what are we talking about today? Oh, tactics. Talk about some tactics. We do have. I'm being really careful on what I'm saying, because if I say the wrong words, you know how the YouTube algorithm works. Anyhow, we have tactical level building search training coming up. Hold on one second. Hey! All right, we got some training coming up. I just saw my friend running. This guy's a former U.S. Marine Corps scout sniper. He was part of our cadre not too long ago. I thought it was kind of crazy just watching him. Anyhow, back to sorry guys, back to topic. We got some training coming up Thursday and Friday in Santee, California. Santee, California is kind of located near Al Cajon, and it's a post-certified class. It's $351. That's not much. Right now, you're expecting, usually for these tactical level trainings, maybe about $200 a day to $250 or even more, depending on the instructors. However, California Peace Officer Standards and Training, CalPost, they do set restrictions. You cannot just charge how much you feel like charging. If that was the case, this class would be an easy $500, $500 to $700. But again, Citywide Protection Services is restricted by post on what they charge. So I want you guys to take advantage of this, okay? If you have a California BSIS firearms permit, please consider attending our class, especially if you're proficient. We recommend that you are proficient with the FBI course of fire and that you're able to score at least 80%. If you show up to the class without that level of skill, you're going to see yourself maybe falling behind or not getting the true value of this class. And that's also a topic of today's discussion. I got one seat available only. Hit me up on my email, ssundahl@crimebullet.com. Check out the description box so that you guys can send me email. And then we have these 2-day classes, CQB, active shooter. I could mention that now because we're past like 30 seconds into YouTube. There's certain keywords that you can't mention. We have CQB, active shooter, all post-certified courses 2 times a month in Santee, California. It took us a long time to get there, and I welcome you guys. Anyhow, let's talk about tactics. Hey, what's up, Mike from the Professional Security Journal? What's up, FCJ9? This video is for those of you who are in law enforcement or armed private security, or private security in general, if you're interested in the topic. Also, the concerned citizen is also welcome on the channel as well. We rarely get active law enforcement watching this channel, and it's because probably my thumbnail has me in a security uniform, right? And they're thinking that this is only for security, this channel. But those who know, like those who understand, and those who understand skills, those who understand the high level of audience Those who understand the high level of instructors that we bring onto the show, they're subscribed. They know that we have our foot in law enforcement and we have our foot in the security industry. Okay, so let's talk about once again tactics. So my suggestion is to, before you attend any type of like building search class, tactical level class, is to be proficient in firearms. If you're wondering, are you proficient or not, or you don't have anybody to test you, you don't go to a lot of trainings, excuse me, download the FBI course of fire. Okay, take the same practical examination that FBI agents across the world, across the United States take, and score with at least an 80%. That course of fire involves multiple magazine changes. It involves shooting on different sides of the barricade. It involves you working with your hand and eye coordination to getting shots on target. It involves you being able to listen to instructions. If you're not listening to instructions, you're going to time out. Also, in regards to time, the course is timed. And you might be asking me, Sean, these time courses, these courses where you're shooting at a paper target, obviously, they don't shoot back. So what are you talking about stress? So the buzzer is a lot of stress. And I can tell you that I want to say, like, at that point in time before you press the trigger in a real life situation, I want to say that the stress is maybe slightly more in a competitive environment, an environment where you have a timer, than in a real life situation when someone's trying to take your life. I know some would disagree, and then some might agree, and that's okay. That's what we're here for. We're here for peaceful conversations. Now the aftermath of the situation is different, because in a real life situation, you get into a shooting. The time after that is when the stress hits. Now, obviously, it depends on who you are, your experiences, your level of training, how resilient you are. All that has weight on how you're going to deal with stress afterwards. But afterwards is definitely a stressful event. You got to have some type of stress in your training environment, and the FBI course of fire just does it. Now, are there better courses of fire out there that test your skills and stress levels? Absolutely. But just stuff with that, and then you can go to different, you can go through different courses of fire. But you should have that basic level of skill before you do these tactical courses. What I've seen in real life, like yesterday, of a house where it's possibly contested in there, and you have somebody who we haven't trained with, and the tactics were kind of really interesting. I saw one of the guys, his gun was canted very strangely. It was covering long. Long means you're basically covering down a hall. You're covering an area in front of you, while others search maybe to the left or to the right corridors, right? So he's holding the gun in a really weird manner. Canted, like almost exaggerated, just like this, so that he can peek into a room just to get some information about the room. Well, the question I wanted to ask that person was, do you normally shoot that way? Do you normally shoot with your gun canted that much? And if you do, where do you think that your bullets are going to land when you do this? Have you thought about that when you're at a live fire range? And honestly, I don't see this person going to a live fire range and practicing that weird technique. A lot of times when we do active shooter training, the student will not have their arms extended. And let me try to show you real quick. They're kind of like this, like at a bend. It's bent. Like sometimes their arms they're like 90 degrees between the forearm and the bicep. I can't do that when I'm driving. But when you're able to go full extension, you should. Full extension, full presentation with a slight bend in the elbow. That is what's recommended on CQB, building searches, and on the range. And when you're able to do that, you're able to absorb the recoil and give this person that is well worthy of your attention in an active attack situation. It basically allows you to have multiple hits on target and having full control over your firearm. Now, if you didn't know that, or you regularly shoot, like at a, with your arms not extended, with a huge like 90-degree bend in the elbow, if you're doing that and you're going to these trainings, you're probably doing the same thing in trainings, and that's not what we want. Those who are in Texas and I think Tennessee, I believe you're required to attend active shooter training. Now, I know if you're able to attend alert courses, I would imagine so. I would imagine that there's some law enforcement agencies that are willing to open up their doors to students who are in armed security, especially schools. If you work at a school district, government building, I'm pretty sure that they would want to train with you. I mean, it only makes sense, but there's some agencies, there's some officers that, I don't want to say that they think that they're better than security, but I think that they're very uncomfortable working with private security, and they don't invite them to the courses, right? Now, these alert courses, and alert is basically your advanced law enforcement rapid response training. It's a training that is, it's recommended by the FBI. The FBI recommended their course outline, and it's basically supported by Texas State University, and there is tons of funding from the U.S. Department of Justice that goes into the alert program. Right now, if you're giving an alert course, okay, you're not supposed to be charged. Actually, they say that you can't charge. Like you can't make a profit out of that. Now, I think it says profit. Now, is the tuition paying for the instructor to be there? That's different, because I don't think that's profit. But again, there's a lot of technicalities. I could see where maybe you might be able to charge if you can maybe offset or justify the cost of like renting a building, paying the wages of the instructor, and then getting other resources. I can kind of see that. But again, that's definitely topic of another story. But what we're seeing is states like Texas and Tennessee, these guys are getting alert level training. Now, the alert course, it's typically a 2-day class. I believe you can make it, I think you can do one day. But I'm not entirely sure. I am a level 1 instructor, certified by alert. I took the course in, I think, April of 2024. So come January, I'm going to need to take the renewal course. But I am qualified and certified to certify the end operators in alert tactics and techniques. Now, there's a lot of criticism when it comes to alert. You got the SWAT guys, the military guys saying, well, that's not going to work, that's not going to work. I talk a lot with our guy Randy Nunez. He's the deputy chief at Citywide Protection Services. He's one of the deputy chiefs, and he's in charge of their special. They have a special operations division. Yep, they do. We talked about the courses, and there's some drills that we have to do, and then Randy pulled me aside. He's like, "Hey man, honestly, this probably won't work. There's so much better techniques." However, he consulted with another person who's well familiar with alert procedures. And basically what alert wants you to do is they want the first responder to just get in those doors, to just get moving. And what these techniques do is they allow you to get moving. So that's what we want. And the idea is, if we can get you moving inside of a structure, and be face to face with this active shooter, the chances are, number one, you're going to probably think, there's two things you're going to think about. Number one is the life of others or your own life. And it's to consider your own life first. So self-preservation is something, right? If you got an active shooter with a gun, chances are that responder wants to make it out. So the chances are there will be an end to this violent confrontation, and hopefully the responder will win, right? Excuse me, guys. Wherever you get trained at, make sure that these guys know what they're doing. I highly recommend that you don't go to these training facilities where the guy says, or the gal, I've been a retired cop, 30 years experience. Okay, retired state officer, California Department of Corrections. Retired federal cop, former cop. Do you know what that means in the training environment? It means absolutely nothing. I have over 2 decades of law enforcement. However, I started getting into I started getting more serious in training in my, and I took the in 2010 I took the NRA law enforcement instructor course. It was the handgun instructor course, and that basically ended my level of training, my regimen of training for years. Come 2019, long time thereafter, again, attended some training, 2-week rifle, pistol, shotgun instructor course, post-certified class, and I leveled up a little bit, but then I waited until 2023. We'll say 2023-ish. 23. Where I really leveled up training, and I really realized that I didn't know what I was doing all those years. Like, I could have done so much better. I think that's when my tactical level training has really shot off. And you're talking about basic SWAT school. You're talking about advanced instructor level courses like flash diversionary device instructor school, chemical agent instructor school, in-house training with local SWAT teams. Right now I have about close to 400 hours of formalized logged in training, meaning that if I were to go to court, I can account for these hours with time cards, with documents. As for other experiences and training, that's on a more informal level, and I can't account for that. But 400 hours in about a 2.5-3 year period is not a lot for those that do this on a full-time basis. However, I'm here to say that that's when my training truly took off, I think, was 2 or 3 years ago. And I think that if you cannot have an honest conversation with others or yourself about that, you're not going to get anywhere. Now, you're going to have the 10-year cop that says I was SWAT for 8 years or 10 years, right? When I started, I was SWAT. Like, okay, so what does that mean? You're SWAT. Okay, you probably have to go through like monthly training. Now, what did you do? Did you work out in the gym for 3 hours? You had a 2-hour lunch, and then you went to the range for like an hour, and then you took it like another hour lunch? Because that's the reality of SWAT training, guys. Is there's these extended 2-hour lunches, sometimes 3-hour lunches, and then there's no ongoing training for that team leader. So, a lot of times a team leader leads the training in a SWAT environment, and there's no continuing education for that person. You know, they were trained 10 or 7 years ago, and what they're doing is they're regurgitating bad information. So, with all honesty, your 10-year SWAT cop might truly have 5 months of training, but they're advertising, 10 years. And right here, I'm telling you, formally 400 hours, right? It's not a lot, but it's these are formal documents that I can produce. So what I'm saying is, don't get hypnotized, don't get sold on these instructors to claim to be former SWAT. Who cares? What do you do now? And then the ability to transfer knowledge is very important. So you can have 20 years of full-time SWAT experience, which is very significant in law enforcement if you have that much time. Should you take a class with that person in your private security? The question is, can that person transfer their knowledge to you in the best way possible? And the answer is usually no. So compare that to your SWAT cop that has 8 months of experience, that pays attention, shows up to all the trainings, doesn't skip a beat in training, doesn't take these 3-hour lunches, 2-hour extended lunches, and is really committed to what they're doing, and they have excellent knowledge transfer skills. Think about that when you're out there, seeking training. Okay. Go out there and look for vendors that offer videos of their trainings, like short little clips. We're not asking you to do hour-long clips. And a matter of fact, with our training, when you attend our training, as long as you're not compromising your safety or you're not compromising the ability for you to learn, you can record. Now, granted, it's only like, we're only allowing like 9-second clips or 10-second clips. What we don't want is people out there doing full motion videos and then not paying attention to the class, because that's what usually happens. And then sometimes safety is compromised, right? So we don't want you. That's not what we want. It's not like we're not trying to be transparent. It's like, it's too much. Now, what we normally do is we'll record the videos, and then at the end of the class, those who attend our class know that we do this on a daily basis. We'll give you a link to a lot of the videos, and then you can use it for your own training purposes. We don't mind if you advertise clips of it on your own social media platforms if you're into social media, and then tag us. I think that showing these videos is a form of marketing for us. So I think that's, I'm not anti-photograph, I'm not anti-video, but I am anti not paying attention. Are a lot of these training companies, are they offering videos to you guys? Like, are you being able to see their content? And there's a lot of trainers out there that don't show that. Now, obviously, some trainers have these contracts with like government units, and then some of these government units are, they're doing narcotic enforcement or like some high risk activity, and they don't want their audiences, they don't want their students doxxed. They don't want them exposed, so they don't allow recording. That's different. And sometimes in our classes, we get like 1 or 2 students that's on a narcotic task force, and we just ask, and then what we end up doing is we end up blurring their eyes, their face, and then we don't feel, it's kind of hard to blur somebody out on a video, but I'll do that sometimes. Occasionally I'll blur their face out, and we'll let the students know that that's what we do, so that we can protect their identity, and a lot of them are really, really appreciative of that. Let me just go to the comments real quick. Mike is here. FCJ9's here. Vintax says this dude definitely has a pistol in arm's reach. And then Kenny says, everybody should have a pistol that's within arm reach. Hey, Sean has Commie formula Glock ban affect the security industry? Not yet. He has Newsom hasn't signed it. I don't think he's gonna sign it. I think he's gonna play the hero game. I think that if he doesn't sign it, the 2A committee is gonna say, "Hey, this guy's on our side. Let's vote for him for president." That's my thoughts. Problem with Glock, they're getting banned because you can attach, you can make it full auto with the switch. So because of that, they're banning basic. It's not Glock by name, but it's Glock by name. Social security specialist here. Welcome. William says, hello, Sean. Welcome, William. FCJ9, he carries a G22. Definitely not banned. Nope. I got my own thoughts on the Glock 22. I'll talk about it in another video, but it's, yeah, I'll talk about it because I could go on for a whole hour on the Glock 22. All right, guys, that's all I got. Take care.